talk about literacy, the ability to know how to read and how to write. And when we are able to do that, then what happens is that we will be able to read books and to understand a little bit more and then to do education. In my earlier talk, I talked about character building, if you remember. Character building can only happen when you get involved in voluntary work, because that's how you actually build up character. You step out of your comfort zone and then you can make a difference.
If you can't find a good friend, become one. So we are talking about be the change you want to see in the world. So how do I change and which impacts the world?
Actually, following on to what Seng has said about education, yes, I think learning about literacy and knowledge is important. But if you were to ask me, I think the education where character building is can actually start from home. From as young as a kid, it's how we as parents or we as an adult, we inculcate that value of character building to them. So even as young as a child of like maybe 4 or 5, but they do understand concept, it's good to start the education process. So when they go into the school, they will also have a better understanding that, okay, it is important to learn to read and write because that will still serve your base foundation. So I think it has to go hand in hand. What has to happen at home and what has to happen at the education institution will both play a part.
Thank you. I mean, but internet has a lot of influence. So whatever is taught at home gets diluted over the internet. That is what I feel. But anyway, anybody from the audience will yes, sir, over there.
Hello. It's me. My name is Ram. Thank you for the wonderful panel session to discuss the big change you wish to see in the world. Actually, now the discrimination between the First Nation to the emerging nation, there are a lot of differences between the culture, humanity, or infrastructure, or money-wise. So how we can able to protect the human values as well as the need for seeing the world like one world having the global citizens kind of perspective. Because we need to focus beyond the race, beyond the country, or beyond the border, how do we make it bigger? So the Rotary Club looking the world as one. So how we can able to manipulate in that kind of perspective.
Okay. This objective is very idealistic. No border, no races, no country. I mean, it sounds very good, but then it is too idealistic to happen. But yes, somewhat can be done, and UN has been trying to do that. But still there is a lot of discrimination. There's a lot of gap between the rich and the poor. There's a lot of gap between the haves and the have-nots. So would you like to address to that? How do we mitigate the differences?
Okay, thank you for the question. Yes, I think to really achieve that no border and the one world, one nation concept, in a way, yes, it's idealistic, but I think it can start from one person. It can start from me, it can start from you. I think the important thing is that do we believe that it can be done? I think if we believe it can be done, that's where it starts from one of us. Like what the message say, right? How we want the world to be is how to be the change we wish to see in the world. So if we want to see that borderless nation, that's where we need to take that first step. And like I say, for me personally, I enjoy meeting people of different race and language. I don't know why, maybe it's from young, that has really been inculcated in me that we are all the same, regardless of our colors or our religion. So, so I believe that, yes, maybe one day it will happen. I mean, whether you have 2030, I don't know. But I think at least there is a goal there that one day we can achieve that, because once we can achieve that one world, one nation, I think that's where we can proudly say that peace would really be within our reach.
And he's very optimistic. Yes, sir, you wanted to say something.
I'm Eric Yo, and for me, I just want to immediately move into the subject on education and prevention. Now, I'm going back to be a better man. I want to congratulate the organizer of World Speech Day. Now, why I say that I'm going back to be a better man, a more inspired man, more encouraged. You see, the world is too big for me. But I believe with the speakers, even just now, I asked them for their handphone number because I'm going to write to them. You see, they have changed my life, today. And if they have changed my life today, I can, in my own very small way, change the life of the people near me. Now, be a change you wish to see in the world, that is quite big for me. I mean, personally. But when I heard their passion, when I heard, they illustrated even their parents and things like that, character and their leaders. I heard them saying things like, thank God. I think I'm impacted and I want to change the people nearer to me.
Okay,
I
thank you,
will
sir.
begin there. Then, thank you very much. And for organizing World Speech Day like this. I never know that it turns out to be like that,
Oh, okay, sir. Thank you. I mean, how do you influence the world? How do you change the world? How do you change yourself? Would anybody like to contribute on this?
Good afternoon. My name is Edmund. I'd like to ask the panel a very simple question. How does education change a person's life, especially in our fast, stressed Singapore world? Don't talk about any other country first. Talk about the local context, because how can you give us some advices on how education can really change Singaporean, the 5K culture? Kia su, kia si, kia bo, kia cheng.
All the tough questions are given by
So I want to move away from education as what United Nations talk about. Because the United Nations, when they talk about education, it talks about literacy, meaning the ability to read and write. And that's a very, very important issue that one has to focus on. You see, 30 years ago in China, there are only about less than 10% who can read and write because of the very complicated Chinese character. When they changed it to simplified Mandarin and the use of Hanping, now almost 90% of the population can read and write. That's talking about literacy skill, different from education per se. Education, in my mind, is not just to read and write. That's just the beginning. Education, to me, is about character building. Right? And you can only do that through a process of time. We talk about the fact that, society cannot change us. We must change ourselves. And if I decide to change, then I actually get the education from the environment, and from the environment, I influence one after another in a ripple effect.
I remember one incident about India, about 30, 45 years ago. The people in bank account, they put thumb impressions in India. The government of India decided and asked the banks that why don't you take a campaign where everybody starts signing, and banks were giving them cash incentive if they could replace the thumb impression card with the signature card. So they were incentivized by the banks that you change the card. So some campaigns can be taken where such literacy moves can happen. Anybody else would like to contribute on this? Yeah, yes, sir. Rub your hands on it.
Hello, I'm Nagarajan. The good point what you are highlighting, again, the technology is one of the influence factor, what we are to consider. Because when you want to change, you have to change the society. First of all, you have to educate yourself first. And who other person knows something, you have to tell the world, okay, these are things happening. Because we suppose not think okay, I'm not part of this world and you want to isolate. We are in the same society. We have to understand what are the technologies changing. That's why even the government is telling a lot of things. Even the world is telling a lot of stuff. But you have to understand the core value. It's an individual. Even we are telling the PDP, all the new rules are coming up. It's meant for each and every individual. When we change, then only we can able to, the society will change, the world will change. And if you think always you are selfish, like, okay, it's my world, my house, my education, my kids. If you started saying my, then definitely it's going to be spoiled, the whole relationship. After that, you also think, my family is different, and my family is different. Therefore, you have to change your personality there. That means you have to see you are part of the society. It starts from home. That is my point.
Thank you very much. So I agree with you when you say technology plays a major role in creating a change. Anybody else would like to contribute?
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I think when we talk about changes, everything begins with the individual person. But when we talk about change directed management, then of course it comes from the states, right? And the states basically direct where the people wants to go. But if I decide not to change, the state cannot do anything. And everything will remain status quo. That's why when we talk about change, be the change you want to be and what you want to see in the world, it all starts with you, the person who wants to change.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon. I am Kate Moria. I would like to add to the point that Sat has given now. As an individual, everyone suggests that an individual must change first. You have to change, the change must come from within the person. Then, in the current social and all other perspectives, we could see the change should happen from home. The parents should incur the value of how a person has to contribute to the society, being a global citizen, not any individual country citizen, global citizen, how they have to contribute as an individual, as a citizen. And in addition to the parents, the next important center to focus on this is education, school, and the whole system. Of course, these two are very, very important because they are the creators next to God. The parents and the teachers are the creators of the world. So that should change, I feel. Thanks.
Values must be at home. I totally agree with that. Would you like to add on that?
Yeah, just to give mention to we talk about technology, we talk about education and all the values. I think what's really very important is the very value of the person. We can talk about change, we can talk about, we should be the first change, the first mover to move things, but it must still be in line with the values that I have. The world may say we should be doing this, but if it's not in line with me, I will not be congruent to want to move. And yes, I do agree with the lady. The change and all this education has to start from home. So if my parents don't give me the right idea of how I should behave as a human being, not even whether as a Chinese or as a Singaporean, if I don't get the right value from my parents, I won't be able to pass that even to the people around me. Whether I'm a trainer or whether I'm a business owner, the value I'm going to pass down will be distorted. So yes, I think it has to happen, but sadly from what I'm looking at right now, parents have to, or family has to play that role, schools should play that role. During my school days, if I make a mistake, my teacher can reprimand me, can punish me. But fast forward 30 years later, that no longer can happen. You scold the kid, the next day the parents is at the school principal office demanding, why did you scold my child? I'm not saying that it's not right, but I think we should find out if the child really did something not so correct, then it has to be corrected. So I think the school and the family has to understand where does the school have that authority to implement certain maybe punishment or certain things that they should bring it down to the kid. I mean, if the parents are going to interfere with everything the school is going to do, then I don't know where it's going to take our next generation.
Thank you, Andy. I agree. But I should say one thing, that for everything you have to take the responsibility. Earlier, I used to often fight with my wife, say that this is not clean, this is not clean. And then one day I changed myself. After hearing a monk in India, I started cleaning up everything. And then no more complaints. So I need to change myself. Me versus my son, I need to change. Me versus my wife, I need to change. Me versus society, I need to change. So I need to change first, then everything else will happen. Yes, anybody else would like to say?
Yes, I do. I'm Zaki from IT College Central, teacher advisor for Referral Club. I'm an educator, and I'm not a parent, unfortunately, but I do actually have to say something. It's basically, parents, yes, have to inculcate the values. The teachers have to actually push it on, but we forget one important factor, the society. Every one of us have the influence factor to influence our next generation to do responsible taking up their roles as a world citizen. The change must not just only come from the parent or the teachers or the individual, but everyone else. Because if that is not taking up, then no change can happen. That will also actually answer the Kiangsu, Kiangsi category.
So that's the responsibility you're talking about. Anybody would like to contribute?
Good evening. Good afternoon. My name is Stephen Chun. I'm a bit confused, and I hope my speech is a bit not incoherent. Yesterday, I heard there's a long queue at driving school. People trying to learn driving, getting the taxi license. Unfortunately, a lot of them is graduates, degree holders, middle-aged graduate degree holders. This is because someone on top says, why get a degree when you cannot find a job? So I'm confused now. Can you enlighten me?
Nancy, would you like to take that?
I mean, the reality of life is that if you cannot get a job and you cannot feed yourself, then you must do it. You see, if I can share, and Vicky can of course substantiate this, there are a lot of lawyers in England who are jobless. Right? The reason why they are jobless is because everyone wants to have a nice, wonderful office, and they don't want to dirty themselves. But the plumbers, they are very, very well paid. So some of these lawyers decided that they go to a trade school. And when they go to a trade school, today they earn more money than a lawyer, and they have more free time. So the reality of life is, how are you going to feed yourself? In Singapore, there is no such thing as the one where you actually take money. What I just missed my mind. Where you can actually go up and like in Australia, you stand in a queue and you get your dough. It's called dough. Yeah, that's right. We don't have this system. Singapore government says, if you can't feed yourself, you go and do something. So in England it's different. But tool is not enough because there is a lot of conditions. There are a lot of conditions. So why don't you do a trade skill and then you earn a lot more money and you have a lot more free time.
I would like to add over here. If there's a society where everyone is a job seeker, then who's going to be a job provider? There has to be a job provider. Then you need Bill Gates, you need Steve Jobs, you need Mark Zuckerberg, you need such people who can employ millions and millions of people. This has to be kept in mind. A society which has more job providers is a better society.
Okay, and I think just want to clarify, your confusion is, does that piece of degree guarantee me a job?
No, graduates are retrenched.
Okay.
They become drivers.
So they become drivers. Okay, I think why they got retrenched, I don't think any one of us can answer that question. Why they got retrenched? I mean, it could be a company's policy.
You have to continuously upgrade your skill. In Singapore, government a lot on that.
Someone on top says, why get a degree when you can find a job?
Anybody else would like to add something? How do you want to be a part of the change? Sir, let somebody new speak. Somebody who's not spoken? Yes.
I'm Richard Seng. I would like to hear the views of not only the panelists, but also members of the audience. In Singapore, we have 3 million plus Singaporeans, 1 million plus permanent residents, and 1 million plus foreigners, as pass holders, work permit holders, tourists. The topic is the change I would like to see, not in the world, but in Singapore itself. It boils down to 3 letters, MAO, M-A-O, as in the sending of multiple. What would I like to see? The mentality, the attitude, and the outlook that we would like to see in our fellow men. By fellow men, I mean men, women, and children. What are your views?
Andy, would you like to address that?
Okay, I think Richard, you want to hear from the audience first? Yeah, I think.
Sorry, it's me again. Just to indicate about the education, the degree, why were you retrenched and stuff like that. Please take note, people. In education, the degree, the piece of paper that you get does not get you anywhere other than just to open the doors. It is your character that puts you stay in the job. So the one that actually says about your society and stuff like that, well, at the end of the day, we do with passion, and that's when we get things done. If we just do it without passion, then where are we?
Okay.
Back in the old age.
Thank you very much. So anybody would like to address to what he raised?
Richard's question.
What Richard said, would anybody like to clarify, amplify, or contradict also? Stanley.
Hi, my name is Stanley. I've been sitting here listening to this. I was a trained engineer, but my engineering job was only probably I only spent about a year in engineering. Then I went on to do something else. Because suddenly I realized that my piece of paper of engineering is better to engineering what I wanted to, but that was not what I want. Because when I decided on engineering course, I was very young. Then I went on to international marketing, I went to corporate work, I spent 30 years in corporate work, then I've come to a certain stage where my health paid a very heavy price. I was pretty high in Asia. Then take a look at it, no, that's not for me. So I keep reinventing myself. I keep reinventing myself along the way because you have to reinvent yourself because you are the